Hi, and welcome to the Pretty Pleats two-part series. My name is Rukaya Davis, and I am the blogger, designer, and garment architect at redpantsdesigns.com. In my most recent magazine article for the So Def magazine, which I called Pretty Pleats, I used some very inexpensive tools to create all of those amazing pleats. In this two-part series, I will show you how to make the pleat board that I used and also how to take your fabric and use the pleat board. Let's get started. Let's review our list of supplies. The first thing that you will need is, of course, your pleat board. You'll need some pins, spray starch, your fabric, which should be very lightweight, especially if you're going to use double layers, an iron, and you'll need some sort of tool that will allow you to get your fabric tucked into the pleats, a hard surface. Use your iron to flatten out the surface of your pleat board before beginning your project. Now we will begin forming our pleats. The fabric that I'm using for this tutorial is a lightweight cotton tinsel fabric. The step for getting started is to line your fabric up at the edge of the first pleat section. You can use your seam gauge to measure exactly where you want to start. Once you've confirmed the location of the first pleat, you will now take your fabric and tuck it into the first section of your pleat board. Secure it with pins. Once you're done securing that first section and pressing it, you can now begin pleating the remaining fabric. Taking each section and tucking it into the layers of the pleat board. With a hard surface or some sort of tool that will allow you to get into each of the pleat sections, take that surface and use what I call a credit card swipe. Swipe along the edges of the pleat board on the inner layers from left to right or right to left. If you need to secure some of the areas with pins, do so. The card that I am using is actually a card that is able to be pressed. Now that all of those sections have been created, you want to take your iron and press the fabric. With a very light layer of starch, spray this section and press. Now remove all of the pins in the first layer and take the last pleat from that first layer and tuck it back into the first section of the pleat board and secure it with pins, just as you did in the first step. You will follow the same steps as you did in part 1 in the first section and creating your pleats. You will continue with the same method of creating the pleats for all of the remaining sections of your fabric. Your new pleat board yields a 1-inch pleat. However, if you wanted to create additional sized pleats, you could create them by skipping pleat sections. For example, if you wanted to make a 2-inch wide pleat, you would skip 2 sections. If you wanted to make a 3-inch, you would skip 3 sections, and so on and so forth. Once you're done with all of the steps, you're now ready to unpin your fabric from the board, and we're ready to take it over to the machine to baste stitch and secure all of the pleat sections together. I like to gather all of my stitches at one time and follow the same pleating structure that has just been created. I use the edge of my presser foot and use the widest stitch to create the basting stitch along the edge. You will follow this method until you've reached the end of your pleat section. And now we're done with our basting stitch. Our final step is to take our pleats to our pressing station and give them a final press. I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial and that you will use this pleat board and this method to create your perfect pleats. Please leave feedback and stay tuned for more.